Hi guys, I'm Dr. Jared Marks. I'm an emergency physician and I'm coming to you today from the University of Nebraska Medical Center at their iEXCEL in the Davis Global Center. And today we're going to be reviewing how to do cardiac ultrasound and how to drape our patient appropriately so they're not left exposed. So the most important thing when you go to position a patient is get it to the right height for you so that you can scan them appropriately. And then we're going to position that patient in a supine position typically. Now we will have patients that have trouble breathing and cannot sit or lie flat like this and will be in more of a seated position. You can use these same techniques to accomplish the draping appropriately. Now, obviously in emergent situations, draping becomes our least important thing. But when we can, we want to maintain draping appropriately so that our patients feel comfortable that they're dressed appropriately. So what we're going to start with here with our standardized patient is we have a button gown, which is ideal. And where we're going to vary a little bit from echocardiographers is I'm going to scan with my right hand. That's my dominant hand. I would encourage you to do the same, get the bed at the right height for yourself. And then what we're going to do is we're going to undo the buttons on her gown so that we can expose the chest. So if you'll sit up for me for a second. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to undo the two top buttons. This has a 4-button system on it. I'm going to undo both sides. The top two, I can still leave her tied up in the back and then have her lay back. And then that allows me to bring the gown down far enough to get to the chest and perform a peristernal view. If that set is needed, I can also take the gown and kind of create a V-neck so I can go down further, still keeping the breast covered up as much as possible, most importantly covering the nipple line. So just as a reminder, you're always going to wear gloves. This is also for your protection working with the patient. But again, we're on a very sensitive area of the body, especially in our female patients, and it's ideal to have gloves on so it's not a skin-to-skin contact in this sensitive area. When we go to do the peristernal long axis view, most books will tell you that it's in the 3rd or 4th intercostal space. However, I like to start at the clavicle because that's not true of all patients. And I will start just below the clavicle with the probe just left of the sternum and drag down from there, looking for cardiac activity as I go. Occasionally, if the gel runs out, I'll pull that down with me. And initially just looking for any cardiac motion to determine if that's a good space to work in. On this particular patient, her subxiphoid or her peristernal long axis view is quite low. So I can redrape her and pull that down to a deep V-neck type situation. I'm gonna, once I get the window I want to use, I can adjust the screen so that I can get the ideal image. Once we have obtained the peristernal long axis view for this ideal image, then we are going to rotate to a peristernal short axis. Peristernal short axis is obtained about 90 degrees to our peristernal long axis view. And you can do this in either a single hand motion or a 2-hand motion. In the single hand motion, you're just going to use your fingers to rotate, looking for the left ventricle to come in and look like a donut. And we can then adjust our depth and our machine settings appropriately so that we can see that image well. And we want to image the peristernal short axis view typically at the papillary muscles, and in this case. If we go back and we want to look at how to do this with 2 hands, we're going to go back and find the peristernal long axis view the best we can. I like to reach across with my non-dominant hand and use it to do the rotation. My dominant hand is touching the patient low against the chest and keeps it in the rib space as my dominant hand rotates the probe, non-dominant hand rotates the probe. And then again, I'm going to find that ideal view about 90 degrees rotated clockwise in comparison to my peristernal long axis view. Once we've obtained the peristernal short axis view, we're going to go ahead and replace the probe into the probe holder and clean off the patient so that the gel doesn't get their gown all dirty. And once we've cleaned off the anterior chest of the patient, we can redo up the buttons. And then our apical views and our subxiphoid views can be obtained with lifting the bottom of the gown up. So again, the patient's redraped. I'm going to pull the gown up from below, keeping the legs covered with a sheet. And go ahead and put this arm up behind your head or down your side. There you go. So we can again keep the breast covered and work under the breast fold. Work under the breast fold in women and then under the pec fold in men. And we're going to go ahead and take the probe, clean it off so that you can grip it really well. In this view, the probe marker is going to go to the 3 o'clock position or the patient's left. We can feel for a PMI. Again, we're going to have a gloved hand. If you can feel a PMI, which may be hard in a supine position, you're going to place that probe in that position. If not, go in the mid-clavicular line just a little lateral under the breast fold, and you can place the probe there, looking for your apical views. Once we've obtained the apical 4-chamber view, we can go ahead and move on to the subxiphoid view. Again, I would take and place the probe back into the probe holder, clean off your patient, and we can actually pull the gown down just a little bit, but for the most part, we're going to keep the gown in the same position with the breast covered. I'd clean off your probe again, and then you can reapply gel. When we're in the cardiac setting, as we are in this today, we're going to go ahead and place the probe with the probe marker towards the 3 o'clock position. Place it over the end of the sternum with just a little pressure and pull down over the subxiphoid area. You'll feel a little pressure release, and that's where you'd want to place the probe. We can then fan our probe into the correct position and then start, once we see the image, we can start adjusting the machine to obtain the appropriate image. If for some reason it is difficult to get this view, you can have the patient bend their knees up if you would. That will soften up the abdomen. Another thing is to make sure that the arms are down to the side so that the abdomen is nice and soft so we can obtain this view. So once we've obtained a subxiphoid view, we can move to a subxiphoid short axis view. If you are a cardiologist or scan similar to them, you will rotate the probe marker counterclockwise and back towards the head. In emergency medicine and most other clinical ultrasound practices, you're going to rotate the probe marker towards the feet. We maintain a standard where the left side of the screen is towards the head and the right side is towards the feet. So in this position, again, we can do this as a single hand or a double hand movement. In a single hand movement, we're going to just rotate the probe, then reposition. We'll fan back over and obtain our subxiphoid short axis view. Amy, can you take a deep breath and hold it? Sometimes having the patient take a deep breath in will get you your ideal view. We're going to fan out to the papillary muscles again, and we can again adjust the settings to get that ideal view and make some changes here. And we can see that short axis view of the left ventricle. Go ahead and breathe. If I go back, and I'm going to show you the movement of a double hand. If we go ahead and get our subxiphoid view again and have that ideal, we can then take 2 hands. On this one, I like to take my non-dominant hand and put it a little closer to the probe. My right hand, being my dominant hand, again anchors it with my 5th and 4th digits against the patient. The non-dominant hand helps me rotate. Once in position, I fan towards the left shoulder, getting that left ventricle. And again, I can have the patient take a big deep breath in, and I can get the ideal view at the papillaries, adjust my settings on my machine as much as possible, and then appreciate what's going on in the subxiphoid view. Once I've obtained the subxiphoid short axis view, we can go ahead and proceed to a IVC view. Here, what we're going to do is focus on the diaphragm through this area. We're going to angle back down, stand the probe up, and we're going to fan towards the patient's right. We'll see the IVC come in here. And we do have what's called a little mirror artifact in this image right through here. Then we can increase or decrease the depth to get that ideal view. We can see in this area the hepatic vein falling into the IVC, and we can appreciate any variation within the IVC. Go ahead and take a sniff in, and we can see any of that variation that occurs with that increase in negative pressure. And that, once obtained, would conclude the exam unless we have to do repositioning of the patient for our peristernal or apical views. Once we've obtained our subxiphoid views, including the IVC, if we are complete with that exam and are happy with our peristernal views, we can be done with the exam. However, if we did not get great views or we want to make them more ideal, we can reposition the patient. And in order to do this, first we're going to clean off our probe and place it back into the probe holder. We can then clean off our patient so that, again, their gown is not getting soaked. We're going to pull the gown down, and then we can cover up their legs using our sheet. And what we're going to do is position to a left lateral decubitus position. So I'm going to unbutton her gown again, just like I did for the previous parasternal views. And I'm going to have her scoot towards me this way, and then roll over onto the left side with placing her hand below her head. Keep on going. There we go. I'm going to make sure she's covered up. I'm going to then take this just like I did previously and reposition the gown to see the chest, but while keeping the breast covered as much as possible, and especially the nipple line. I'm going to re-put gel on my probe and try for the parasternal views. Now, a lot of echocardiographers will ask why I don't do this just right off the bat. Often my patients are too sick in the emergency room to position like this or cannot maintain this position, or multiple things are going on at the same time, such as IVs. So I will do this afterwards, or if the patient is capable. And again, I'm going to start at under the clavicle, and I'm going to drag down, looking for our ideal cardiac view. And if you run out of gel, pull that gel down with you. And again, we're going to look for our parasternal view. And adjust the machine as needed when we're obtaining this view. Now she has more of what's called an apical long type view, but this will get us close to answering our clinical questions. I'm going to adjust my machine here. And again, from this position, I mostly see the left ventricle in this parasternal long axis view. I can reach over with my left hand. I like to do this as a dual on this one. I'm going to rotate to the short axis view, get my ideal short axis view, adjust the machine as necessary to get that best image I possibly can. Again, looking to look at the papillary muscle view. And once I've obtained that view, I can go ahead and reposition her for an apical view. Once we've obtained our parasternal views, again, we can clean off our probe, place it in the probe holder, reach over the patient, clean them off, keeping them covered up. We can do at least the top button up for now so that she's nice and covered. And then for this portion, I'm going to go ahead and bring the gown up, keeping her legs covered. And I'm going to look for an apical view without exposing the breast. I can place the probe under the breast. I can again feel for the PMI. If I feel hers, which is a little easier to do in a left lateral decubitus, we can place the probe right there. Go ahead and pull her back towards me just a little bit. And then start adjusting my machine appropriately to get the best view I possibly can. And then we can work on our subxiphoid view, working at multiple rib spaces to see if we can get better and better views. In this case, this is the best view we can obtain at our apical 4. And once we've completed this exam, we can go ahead and clean off the probe again, clean off our patient, have them scoot towards the middle of the bed. And again, pull the gown down, cover up the legs, make sure we've cleaned them off well. And do up all the buttons. We can raise or lower the head of the bed as much as we need to where the patient's comfortable. And we can clean up all our towels, get the patient positioned, and then lower the bed down. Go ahead and put the bed rails up, and that will be the completion of our exam.